Good morning, you guys, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending where you are on this planet. Oh, let's see. I'm excited to be here for you guys for day 3 of our um, paranormal 5 days of free paranormal training. If you haven't met me yet, hey, I'm Brandaline Johnson, a spiritual life and business coach, psychic medium, author, and educator, and I like to help you awaken to your spiritual gifts and support you through your spiritual awakening process. And that's why we're doing this awesome free training. If you are watching in our group, your spiritual awakening community, say hi, let me know you're live. If you're watching on the Spiritual Awakening Babe YouTube channel, say hi and come join us on either platform so you never miss any of the spiritual goods. If you guys have questions about tricksters or attachments during this live, go ahead and drop those questions there. Um, and I will answer them once I'm done doing my own little presentation here. Hi, Maya, I guess you say, on YouTube. Good afternoon, Kim says. So she's somewhere else on the planet. Hey, Heather. Hey, Alicia on Facebook. So glad you guys are here with me. I hope you've been enjoying the last couple days of the free training. Yesterday we did spiritual protection techniques that a lot of people don't know about, and the day before we did the dark side, like what is the dark side, right? And I actually got a lot of people really excited about today's training. We're going to be talking about tricksters and attachments to help educate you about them, so that you can live your life more easier, right? So let's go ahead and get started. Also, I would love to invite you to the free library on my website, brandaleen.com. Spelled at BRANDALEEN.com. Hey, Mario on YouTube. Hello, Denise on YouTube. And hey, Jude on the Facebook. So glad you guys are joining me live. So I want to talk about tricksters, and then I'm going to talk about attachments. Because why? Because a lot of tricksters can end up being attachments, so they kind of go hand in hand. When I'm talking about tricksters, I'm talking about spiritual tricksters. I'm talking about entities, energies, ghosts, or the like, that want to play tricks on you, right? That want to play tricks on you, to deceive you. Sure, if it's a ghost and they're just joking around, and moving objects, maybe it's, Aunt Margot just trying to play that old game that she used to play with you, right? But for the purpose of this live training, we're going to be talking about like tricksters that have their own agenda in mind, and then they seek certain people to trick them in order to, like yesterday we were talking about spiritual protection, in order to manipulate and control their energy. And then it ends up being in order to manipulate and control, and we're going to talk about influence tomorrow. So this is what happens before, right? Before you get influenced, this is what happens before you have an attachment. So let's jump into it. There's a few different types of tricksters. There's different energies and entities, all the way from the fairy realm, all the way deep into dark different things. I'm sure you could imagine with your mind. But the first one is kind of like the fairy realm, right? They have ego. They're tricksters. They like to play jokes. They like to, hide things or move things, just for fun, just to get a kick out of it. So it's a good thing if you're in good with the fairy realm, because the more that they feel like they could trust you and that you're a good person, the less likely they are to trickster you. But fairies do have ego, and ego is necessary in order to be a trickster, right? Hey, good morning, Sarah. How are you? Hey, Jesse. Hey, Anissa. Hey, Michelle. So glad you guys are here. So, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of a story, and I've told this story before, but actually I'll probably use the example that we had here in our group on Facebook, Your Spiritual Awakening Community. I'm super loving that community that we have there. is is let's talk about angels, right? And we talked about fairies just now, that they have ego. And so angels don't have ego. Angels are super, super unconditional love, super filled with love and light. And they would never say a bad thing about you. They would never tell you you're going the wrong path. They're always very kind and supportive. So, and I could do like a whole another training on that, because they come through when you're a psychic medium and the angels come through a certain way, and then it's angelic because of the way they say things, or the way they feel, or the information that they're trying to have flow through you is so unique, so beautiful, so supportive, right? We ourselves beat ourselves up. However, so um one of the girls in our group was posting about Archangel Michael. He's like your main man, right? He is your protective angel. He's the loudest angel. This really isn't supposed to be a training on angels, but to get my point across, right? Um, okay, I'll answer your question, Miss Lansing, here at the end. But my point is that the angels are super sweet and kind, and this girl posted in the group saying she's really connected with Archangel Michael. A lot of us are, um, and that they've communicated, and she journals through him, and she lets him channel through, and that he was expressing how much love he had for her, and it kind of escalated and ended up saying that he wanted to be her boyfriend, and that he was kind of starting to be frustrated with her because she had yet to make a decision if she wanted to accept him as a boyfriend, because she felt like she was crazy talking to an invisible angel, and then all of a sudden this amazing angel wants to be your boyfriend even though you're still alive as a human, right? And this happens, and that's why I'm sharing this. And there's nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with her experience. I'm so grateful she shared it with us, because the instant thing was saying angels will never tell you you have to make this choice by a certain deadline or else. Angels would never really want to be your intimate partner, even though they may say you are close to me, because I know another person in our group, in our community, and one of the Awakened alumni students that does channel angels and is very specifically close to the cluster of angel, um, and works with this specific type of angel and the specific angel. And that's one thing, but it's another thing if all of a sudden that angel starts to ask you to do things like be their wife, or leave this planet in order to be with him. And that has happened in my realm, right? I've been doing this spiritual awakening work for almost 8 years now, 7 years. So I've run across pretty much every time I say I've seen it all, something new presents itself to me. But that has happened in the past before, where someone had Jesus approach them, and ended up Jesus saying that I love you, I want you to be my wife, but in order for that to happen, you need to leave this planet, you need to leave your meat suit. And that's instantly when we know it's a trickster, right? So I'm going to talk a little bit more about, well, why would this happen? So you see, one of the biggest things, and we talked about spiritual protection yesterday, right? And so go back to that one if you're missing out on this. But one of the things that is one of your greatest assets to have, and one of your greatest lessons, every single one of you watching this live or on the replay, one of your greatest lessons, if not the greatest lesson of your human incarnation experience, is to learn love, and is to learn self-love, right? So if we're lacking in the self-love department, good afternoon, Scott. So glad to have you on here. Hey, Suzette. Hey, Yvonne. If we're lacking in the self-love department, right? We're feeling like a piece of us is missing. See the words that I'm using? A piece of us is missing. So we're seeking that God-sized hole, like we talked about yesterday. If you feel like a piece of you is missing, you're more of an open bait for a trickster, because they know that you don't feel whole. They know that you're seeking something outside of yourself in order to feel like you belong, in order to feel like you exist. And that's when a little stinky trickster, especially if you're going through your spiritual awakening, especially if you're, um, exploring the spiritual realm, because it's invisible, right? Um, and I'm loving your question, Miss Lansing. I really will go back as long as I could see the comments, because I'm loving the questions over here on YouTube. Um, so you need to ask yourself that too. So the intention, right? And I'm sorry that my table's all wobbly, but if you saw my getup, you would laugh. You would laugh. Some of you guys know, right? I'm like, I have this fun. As a matter of fact, if you're in our group, your spiritual awakening community, I'll put a picture of the behind the scenes so you guys can crack up with me. But hey, we gotta do it, and there's no judgment here, right? Here's my little notes, because I wanted to talk a lot about tricksters. Hopefully the table doesn't fall over. But the intention of a trickster is to deceive you by gaining your trust, right? Is to deceive you by gaining your trust. Hey Deborah, hey Pat. And in order to do that, at first they could show up as what? Like the angel, or as Jesus, right? And the biggest trickster of all. And how many of you guys, are you guys ready to engage with this? How many of you guys have seen a little girl in a white dress, right? At a haunted site, or walking through your house? They show up as something that is very trustworthy, that appears weaker than yourself. And as soon as they gain your trust, then they start to attach, right? Or they start to receive the energy in some form. But generally speaking, as soon as they gain your trust, then they start to attach. We talked about this yesterday or the day before about the dark, and some lady was saying she had such a traumatizing childhood, and ever since then she's had dark entity experiences. Well, the trauma, the childhood wore her down, and then maybe perhaps, and maybe she doesn't even remember this part, maybe a spirit guide came in to make her feel better and ended up being that trickster and attached. And for the rest of her life, she's having these darker paranormal experiences because it's been attached. And the rest of her life, maybe she has mood swings, and the rest of her life she acts out. And we'll talk more about that tomorrow, about spiritual influence. But they want to befriend you, and then they want to attach and or protect you. Okay, so here's some of the other kind of example. Like anytime somebody's had a trickster from a long time ago, and then it attached, it starts to try to almost like become you, or to become part of your world. Even if I've met people that straight up know they have an attachment, and they will defend the attachment straight up, because that attachment has been with them so long, it starts to become part of their real life. Like they feel like it's a reality. And let me bounce off, right? I'm a Gemini. Let's bounce off. Let me bounce off of that and say, think about that narcissistic relationship. Think about being alienated. Think about somebody that grew up chained to a bed in a closet. They really thought that that's what the real life was. Or what about the Jungle Book, when that little boy was raised by wolves, and he thought, and there was stories about people being raised by wolves. They think it's the reality, and all change is uncomfortable. So once that trickster could get that good attachment on you, and you have trusted into it, right, then you can almost grow into it and defend it. So I had one guy even tell me, like, an attachment, he knew it was there, would tell him all the things, and we'll talk about more of that tomorrow, but would tell him to do things to other people, and then he would have to either do it or talk it out of it. But he didn't care about getting rid of it. He's like, nah, I've had it all my life. I don't want to get rid of it. It would be mad at me if I got rid of it. And I know I'm laughing at a sensitive thing, but seriously, that's what will end up happening, because it starts becoming your life force. And generally speaking, right? Generally speaking, it's the attachment will end up wanting you to exterminate your life force, right? So that it could like take all of you, take all of your soul, right? But it a lot of times, remember, we are one with the dark. We talked about that on day one. So how do you know if you have a trickster, right? in front of you. Like, here's all my students from the Awaken program, all my beautiful friends and family and love, amazing community. How do you, you guys are all asking, well, holy shit, I thought I was talking to Archangel Michael last night. What if I wasn't? You know what I mean? So there's a great way here's a couple tips to find out. Is, first of all, you need to know that you are stronger, right? You are the light. You are part of Source God, so that you have this commanding power inside of you. One of the things you need to ask, if you ever doubt, if you're like I know there's a lot of people here in Michigan, or not here, I'm in Las Vegas, but there's a lot of people in Michigan in our group. And so if you go to like the Commons, where it used to be the insane asylum, and you go there and you see this little girl in a white dress keep peeking at you, and she like, in spirit, and she kind of, or you feel a little white girl, like, right, seeing, hearing, feeling, knowing, and you just feel like she wants to come home with you, and it's like, please let me come with you. And you're like, is that a little girl in a white dress, or is that like this big giant monster, right, in deceiving you and acting out as a trickster? The first thing you could do is just say, are you of the light? Are you of the light? I want to know, are you of the light? I command you to answer me. And they have to answer you. So if they do not answer you, right, if they avoid answering you, then send them away. Because if it really is a little girl in a white dress that like needs to be crossed over, or really does need some help getting out of a dark situation, she's going to be like, yes, I am of the light. Or you're going to see her illuminate herself, or you're going to have a feeling. There's going to be an agreement, right? We call agreements the things that equal yes or no. So you're going to feel your clairsentience light up, your psychic feeling that, I feel sick to my stomach around that little girl in the white dress. It just doesn't feel right. And then, send her away. Because even though, like, this is the part with the self-love and people, right? Some of you guys might be like, well, shit, I can't leave that girl with a white dress hanging out in this creepy old place. I need to help her. That's where we tend to go wrong and help her. Or she will find her way. If it's truly meant for you to help her, she's going to illuminate. Ask them, are you of the light? Are you of the light? Are you of the light? And they have to ask. And the other one is just that feeling, the feeling in your stomach, your gut feeling, your clairsentience. How does it feel? How does she feel? So you will know, like I said, if you're communicating with an angel, and if they start to ask you weird things, like, will you be my girlfriend? Or I want to stay at your house all the time. And it's going to be kind of like that narcissist, right? Really making you feel important, really making you feel empowered, like they need you, and that you two have this thing in common, and it needs to escalate to the next level, like becoming a boyfriend, or becoming your master guide, right? So let me answer some of the questions that came through here, if I can. Chat viewing, chat. Okay. All right, so Miss Lansing, or M. Lansing, says, my mom said she had a family identical to hers, always asking her to come with them, only the mom talked to her, kept telling her to leave with them. She knew it wasn't her real family. Yeah, so generally speaking, when, like the Lansing person, and I'm sorry if I'm messing up your name, but generally speaking, right, they're like, come with us, come with us, come with us. And that could be like the fairy realm too. They're sneaky little stinkers, and you have stories where the fairy realm takes you into their realm, and then you lose a whole bunch of sorry, I got distracted. This is a Facebook Live with me, right? Bing, because I got another question coming up. So somebody says, why is it that I had a dream about my cousin who passed away years ago, and we were in a crowd, and she made everyone look like, holy crap, where did it go? How come I can't see your comments now? Top. Okay, and she made everyone feel like giants, and we were small. Dreams are very weird, and this is to Mario. Dreams are really weird. Your cousin could have came through you in a dream, and just your dream state, you're in the astral realm, right? and it could have gotten just misperceived, or how was the feeling, how did you feel in the dream. It could have been her. Maybe she was saying, look how big I am, crossed over. How can I have better connection with spirit? Check out the Awaken program on my website, brandolina.com. Awaken. I love them and I want to have a stronger relationship and love for them. Yes, nice to meet you too. Awesome. Okay, I think I answered your question. Is it normal to see things just passing through your yard sometimes? Nothing's not normal in the spiritual realm. Nothing's normal, right? So yes, you could see people walking through your yard. Just different people. Everything's there. Just different people perceive different things at different times, and perceive them in different ways, seeing or hearing, feeling or knowing, right? And then Sarah asked, why do tricksters want to take over someone's soul? Sometimes a trickster doesn't necessarily want to take over your soul. They just want your energy. It's all about frequency. It's all about life force. And because they're so far removed from their own love, so far removed from the light, they're going to do other ways. Remember, we were talking about filling that God-sized hole. So us humans may eat or drink or gamble or get depressed and hide, and we have different mechanisms to fill that God-sized hole, or just because we feel like something's missing inside of us. So, and when you're not human, it gets even further. Or maybe you are human, but you passed away and you were in the lower level version of yourself. The only way you know how to receive energy or love is to take it from somebody else. And we have that right here when we talk about narcissism, right? And we talk about really deep ego. We have that here in our human experience. So you can only imagine how far it goes when we're talking about tricksters or attachments. It's their only way to feel that life force, their only way to feel empowered, and to, is to consume your light or your energy field, or to take you over. And then you could get really deep into it, Sarah, because she's asking that, is you could get really deep, and it could go really deep and dark. And you could go into, well, the dark wants to grow its darkness by consuming it, because if you committed suicide, you may be confused when you come out of your body, and la 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 la. I could go into all of that. But I try to keep these light, you know what I mean? Even though we're talking about the dark, keeping the dark side light, right? Because I don't want anybody to be scared, and that's why I was doing this training for you guys. So if you haven't joined the training, jump on my website, brandoline.com/paranormal, and sign up so that you get the access to the replays. But tomorrow, I'll be here again tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then you could figure out your time zone kind of from there. And tomorrow we're going to talk about spiritual influence, and how you are and can be influenced by the invisible realm, and how to kind of recognize it if and when it's happening, because it happens even to people like me, right? And so when to recognize when it's happening, and how and what to do to make it stop. And so super grateful. There's got one more question or one more statement. I got rid of whatever was in my head with me. Yes, I love that you're saying I got rid of what was in my head with me, and I have my own energy. I'm not drained every day. I was always being told to kill myself. Yes, I'm so glad you're commenting, right? And your comments are disappearing. But basically, yeah, you were told to kill yourself. And if I established it wasn't me, I found myself 4 months ago, and I found the power of my light. I absolutely love that. And I don't want anybody to be scared that heard that person leave that comment. I just want you to be aware. This is why I do what I do. Aware that these things happen. Aware that people are having these experiences. And then when you can empower yourself by utilizing the tools that we're talking about this week, then you could live a better life. And then you can help other people that maybe just will reach out to you instead of me, because I'm a stranger, and they're going to tell you, oh my God, I think I'm going crazy because there's this voice and it's telling me to do things, right? And we're going to talk about that tomorrow when we're doing spiritual influence. So I'm sending you guys all so much love. I hope you're loving this training. Invite your friends to our group, your spiritual awakening community, and check out the website, brandoline.com. I will talk to you guys tomorrow.